Good evening. With the Thursday, March 10th, Dune City Council meeting, please come to order. It is 7 o'clock p.m. Could we please get a roll call?
Certainly. Mayor Rebecca Reedy.
Here.
Council President Maury Sanders is absent and excused.
Right.
Councilor Scarberry.
Here.
Councilor Wells.
Here.
Councilor Mallon.
Here.
And welcome back, Councilor Platt.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Councilor Meyer is also absent and excused.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Would everyone present please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Councilors, I'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve tonight's agenda. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay. And our next item of business is consent agenda. Ms. Administrator, do you have a comment on that?
I do, on the minutes of the City Council meeting, the draft minutes for the February 11th City Council regular session. I have a typographical error. I put the wrong date in for Mr. Galbraith's term to end. It should read January 10th, 2019. It currently reads January 11th, 2018. It's on page 6 of 8 of those minutes.
What should it read again?
January 10th, 2019.
That's what it says.
Oh, maybe I got yours changed.
Oh. Item C, committee appointments.
Does everybody say the same thing? So maybe I got it caught.
Council President Sanders made a motion to appoint Mr. Kenneth Pisnell to the Planning Commission with the term ending.
No, this would be Mr. Galbraith.
Okay, so continue down.
It starts out, Councilor Meyer made a motion to appoint. Second to last paragraph on page 6 of 8.
Oh, okay. With the term ending January
10th, 2019.
Thank you, 2019, thank you very much. Councilors, get that amendment?
Yep.
All right. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
Who moved?
I will.
Okay. And you second?
Yes.
Oh, very good. Then we have a motion and a second to approve today's consent agenda as amended. And any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, that works too. So we have a number of announcements this evening. The Office of the Emergency Management is holding a tsunami walkout tomorrow, March 11th and 12th, to allow participants to learn and travel their route to high ground in the event of a tsunami. So for those emergency routes, for those who their emergency route leads them to Dune City Hall, we request that you write down your name and drop it in the box out front to let us know who you are.
And that's what the box will look like.
Oh, sure. And the little pad is right there.
Right, yeah. And the pen and everything.
Well, that'll be fun. And our neighbor city Florence is doing the same thing. So it's a group thing. I guess it's
A joint education.
for this whole state or just this county?
Just this county. The statewide comes in April.
Oh, very good. All right. So if you're inclined to do that, please follow the instructions. Follow the instructions. And announcement too, if you need smoke detectors installed and you're unable to do so on your own, you can call the American Red Cross and they will assist you for that or with that and find somebody to help you. It's time again for the Dune City is looking for nominations for Volunteer of the Year Award. This is something that we began council at the behest of Councilor Wells's comments at a Dune City Council meeting, what, 4 or 5 years ago? And now I'm counting up to 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5 years ago, and it's something that we want to do to honor our valued volunteers, because as we all know, no one gets paid. So everyone, has our gratitude for volunteerism, and it was very heartwarming to see a number of volunteers come forward last month, and I'm just looking forward to seeing nominations, and the nomination is starting in April, and we will select one and announce it in June, unless the person selected is not able to attend. So we'll keep you all posted on that. Any questions, just contact a counselor or someone at City Hall.
And the form is on the website.
The form's on the website, and you can pick one up at City Hall. And if you need help, you can stop by the bank and we'll get you to the website and print one out, and you can go for it. There you go. Dune City was informed that it has a grant request has been approved by the Western Lane Community Foundation. It was for $300 to be used to purchase a television and wall mount and DVD player, and that grant will be awarded to, this says to me, at the Rotary meeting on Tuesday, March 15th, but regretfully I will be unable to attend that meeting, so I've asked our city administrator to attend in my place. I do apologize, I have a prior commitment out of town on that date, but Jamie will be happy to attend on our behalf and receive that award, and it would be a replenishment of monies we have already spent on our TV. We will be using it for visual aids even this evening, so very good. I would think that's a good location to have it mounted, and yeah, very nice. So we appreciate that. March birthday wishes to Councilor Ken Platt. And so in your honor, Councilor, we'll be having refreshments tonight after the meeting.
Brandy?
No, cheesecake. So we can all get sugared up and then try to go to sleep. But, that's all right.
Sugar-free.
Cheesecake is sugar-free?
This one is gluten-free and sugar-free, because at Ken's request.
Oh, okay. We'll see. I'll let you know how that goes.
It tastes really good.
All right. Let's see. Okay. Moving on. The Dune City Triathlon will be held May 7th, 2016. It is the Saturday before Mother's Day. We're looking for sponsors and volunteers for the event. We're excited to announce the opportunity for a $100 community sponsor to place items in the goodie bags. And these are little swag bags that are handed out to, oh, there you are, look. Very nice color, very nice logo. And if you would like your brochure or token or advertisement, become a community sponsor for $100, and you may place your items in the bag. So that was quick on getting those. Okay. We are also, again, offering an opportunity for the nonprofit organization who brings out the most volunteers to receive a check for $250. So that's very nice. I would also like to add that in this yesterday's edition of the Sayus Law News, there's a very nice article published that kind of outlines the triathlon, and I'd like y'all to just maybe take a minute to read it and sign up to be a volunteer. We are in our 4th year, and all is well. All is well. So that's all the announcements that I have listed here. Are there citizens signed up for input this evening?
There are.
Okay. At this time, we have a limited amount of time for input from citizens, and we ask that you please come forward and state your name and that you live in Penn City or where you live. And you have 3 minutes, sir. And
Mayor?
I will call Mr. Paul Gargas.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mayor, council, good evening. My name is Paul Gargas, and I do live in Dune City. My question is on item H.
Item H.
H. You want me to wait or do it now? I'm wondering about this director of roads before this thing gets passed. How long has he been employed by the city? How much does he make?
Not really sure.
The contract tonight, that's why the contract is not in your packet, because according to the goals, as set at our goal setting session, there was talk about redoing and how we're going to approach roads and care for them. So the proposed contract with the director of roads that was presented could be completely erroneous. So that's why I didn't put it in the packet. It isn't necessarily for us to do, but to discuss that whole issue that was talked about at goal setting session and see if there's any kind of directive you want to give staff to point us in the right direction on what you want us to do.
Okay, Mr. Gargas, do you have any particular opinions about what you'd like to see done?
Yes, Mayor, I do. Question is, the reason I have this question, I heard that we had such a person, and I happened to be at a council meeting when or a road commission meeting, I think, and he was present. And he was given some direction from his computer printout. And it seems to me if we need help on our roads, we could hire an engineer, whoever we have, contract engineer, on a case-by-case basis, instead of paying someone an annual fee of whatever it is. The reason I ask how much he got paid, but if he's making $30,000 a year, for example, he's making too much money. And that's my feeling. I just wanted to ask the question, get it cleared up before something got passed, like sometimes things get passed.
That's true, that's why I didn't put it in the packet. And he is paid hourly,
Hourly.
yeah, for work performed.
Okay, that was my concern. Thank you.
Historically has been paid hourly.
One thing we try to do as a council that we've, I think, done a pretty good job of is not to spring things on people. You know, we want to govern with transparency and give people opportunity to give input and help us make the decisions. So if I get the general feeling that the council's like, oh, I don't really know, or let me think about it a while, or let me ask some of my citizen friends that I know, then we'll just table it and, you know, put it on for another meeting, because the more information you can gather, the better decisions you can make. You know, that's how we roll around here, right, councilors? Yeah. So thank you very much. New business, we're up to new business. And there is a proclamation, once again. Let me pass it down here. And this is a proclamation that we begun, I believe last year. Was it last year or the year before?
before that? It's been a while.
I apologize that I don't recall how many years we've been doing this, but it is declaring April as Child Abuse Awareness Month in Dune City. And if I might, I'll take the liberty to just read this because I think it's important. State of Oregon, County of Lane, City of Dune City. Whereas the public cares deeply about child abuse and a majority report that child abuse is a very important moral issue to them. And whereas preventing child abuse and neglect is a community problem that depends on involvement among people throughout the community. And whereas child abuse and neglect not only directly harm children, but often increases the likelihood of long-term physical and mental health problems, alcohol and substance abuse, continued family violence, and criminal behavior. And whereas child maltreatment occurs when people find themselves in stressful situations without community resources and don't know how to cope. And whereas child abuse and neglect can be reduced by making sure every family has the support they need in raising their children in a safe, nurturing environment. And whereas effective child prevention programs succeed because partnerships created among social services, agencies, schools, faith communities, civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and business community. And now therefore, I, Mayor Rebecca Reedy, do hereby proclaim April 2016 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Dune City and call upon all citizens, community agencies, faith groups, medical facilities, and businesses to increase their participation in our efforts to support families, thereby preventing child abuse and strengthening the communities in which we live. Signed this 10th day of March, 2016. Here, here. There you go. We'll sign it. Okay. A happy event, moving on, is an application for appointed office, and Mr. Eric Ziegler is requesting to be appointed to the Budget Committee.
There. You skipped over scheduling the expo.
Did I? Well, it's the next thing in here. Sorry. Okay, item B. We are scheduling the next annual exposition, which I believe you all attended last year, and it was quite fun. A lot of community support, a lot of presenters, very well attended, very nice community event, well publicized, and so therefore we need to decide when we want to have it.
Last year it was in August, about mid-August. It was the 19th, I believe, so mid to end of August. And it was a Saturday, so that would, July, August. It'd be the 20th this year, if you wanted to go the same weekend. Notice how I'm giving you plenty of notice.
August 20, you sound like a good idea?
The weather worked out.
The weather worked out, that's exactly correct. You know, I especially enjoyed some of the alternative products that were provided for water treatments. I especially enjoyed the Indian native. Oh my gosh, I don't really know what all you call it, but he just provided a plethora of activities that that you can learn and to live off the land and the way Native Americans used to do it. So it was very interesting, very worthwhile. So we've set the date as August 20th of this year. We will begin making invitations to those who participated last year, and just in general publicize the event to anyone interested in attending. Right, so we'll have some information on our website and,
Right.
okay. All right, more to come on that. One huge event at a time, so got the triathlon going on. Now, do we have Mr. Ziegler here this evening? Mr. Ziegler?
No, I think Linda contacted him and,
Can't be here.
right.
Okay. Since he's presented an application to be on the budget committee, I'll entertain a motion to appoint him to said committee.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we appoint Mr. Eric Ziegler to the budget committee. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Woo, we knew that would be unanimous. Thank you, sir. And you will be advised of when our next meeting will be,
When the mayor tells me.
when we figure that out. I'm gonna read the agenda so we not skip anything. All right, got that. Resolution Series 16, number 2. This is a housekeeping type resolution, extending workers' compensation coverage to volunteers of Dune City, in which Dune City elects the following. Standard procedure, we didn't change anything, correct?
That's correct.
Have you, counselors, had an opportunity to read this? All right. I will entertain a motion to approve Resolution Series 2016, number 2.
I would move that we approve resolution series 2016, number 2, dated 3/10/2016, as presented.
Okay.
Second.
We moved and seconded that we approve Resolution Series 2016, number 2, as presented. Any further discussions?
Mayor,
Yes, Councilman Allen.
I've done some research on this, and I volunteered quite a bit in the area, and my first concern was, are we spending money for this workers' comp for volunteers who really don't want workers' comp? I've contacted Florence Police and Oregon State Police. I volunteered for both of those agencies, and I am covered. However, I found that volunteers just mentally do not really expect that type of thing. We're volunteering because we care about our community. We'll work for free. But it appears that there's a state law or some sort of ordinance that requires workers' comp, and/or our insurance company has decided that we don't want the liability and it's cheaper to do the workers' comp and pay that premium. The flip side to that is if there is a loss, an injury by one of these volunteers, and we cover it under workers' comp, then our premiums for everyone may go up. But apparently the liability trumps any of those concerns. So I just wanted to make that comment.
That's very accurate. Yes, thank you, sir.
Okay.
And it's general housekeeping because it is required by our CIS.
Right, it's
City's
required by the
insurance.
insurance company.
Mhm.
The thing to remember, and sometimes the city is a little lax, is if you are, now elected officials are different and appointed officials are different because your meeting minutes are recorded, so we know when you were here, how long you were here, and all that other stuff. But if you're performing as a volunteer on behalf of the city, you need to sign in as a volunteer before you do any work, or before you get started. I know Water Quality is really good about doing that in there. It's just other committees, if you come in to, for example, Duke, you really should, when you're coming in to do work around the office, we should make sure we get you signed in as a volunteer on those days.
Okay.
And keep that record.
Well, couldn't it simply be that he's reporting to you, I'm gonna be there at 10 o'clock on Tuesday to fix the TV, and then he shows up?
Well,
Or does he have
they
to
would
sign the
prefer
paper?
he signs the paper, because we have a sign-in sheet.
Okay.
And the hours are marked down when you get here and when you check out.
I'm usually here before it's open, I usually.
Yeah, he
Oh.
does all the work, it's like little fairies, we come in the morning and all this stuff is done.
Oh, then you could keep your worksheet at home, right?
Well, it's hanging in the office, so, you know, we could just make sure it's out, well, there's one in the kitchen.
Oh,
There's one hanging on the wall in the
that'll
kitchen,
work.
so.
All right, very good. Anybody have any questions about this? Okay,
We have a citizen question.
what?
Brian?
Bonnie?
If I may, I'm a water quality tester, and I assume that would be a covered activity, it's a volunteer
That's correct.
activity. But we meet at the park boat launch site, and I don't come in here first to sign in. So how would you like that handled?
They used to have a sign-in on the boat. When you got there, you signed in.
We note on the form who's there,
That works.
Okay,
That, we
perfect.
just have to have some sort of written evidence
that
that
we're
you were
here
there
on
and you were,
time,
yeah,
that's
right.
city exposure in this term.
Right.
Thank you very much, okay, thanks.
Mhm, Thank you very much for doing that. That's,
Fun.
thank you for saying that. For future. Okay, so there's, the motion's on the table. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay. Thank you. Okay, the next one is the resolution series 2016 number 3, certifying that Dune City provides for municipal services. And it was recently pointed out to me by our interim city manager that this now is required to be an ordinance. So we're going to table this until next
Oh,
council.
it can be a resolution, but there has to be a public hearing. There has to be an opportunity for the public to come and make comment. If they choose to do so.
Oh, so
And
we
it
need
was
to
not-
republish it.
Right, well, we didn't notice it as a public hearing. We need to notice it as a public hearing.
Okay, so it needs to be public hearing. All right, so this will be duly published and on next month's agenda.
Great.
Resolution Series 2016 number 4, setting sick leave accrual rates, sick leave carryover rates, and other sick leave policies.
Would you like me to give some background information?
Yes, that would be awesome. Yes, thank you.
As you may or may not be aware, the legislature is requiring employees to provide sick leave for your employees. If you have more than 10 employees, it has to be paid sick leave. And if you have less than 10 employees, it does not have to be paid, but you still have to offer it. And it has to be at least 40 hours a year. The recommendation from BOLI, which I have no idea what that stands for, Bureau of
Labor and Industry.
Labor and, yeah, okay, Industry. Okay, their recommendation is that we go with 40. We can set it at whatever you want. The city can set it at however many hours they want, but it can't be less than 40. They make the recommendation that we make it 40, and we have to adopt that by resolution, and we also have to address whether or not there will be any carryover. And that's what this resolution proposes to do. The resolution currently says no carryover to be allowed, but you can set it at whatever you want.
Okay. I've been in the business world, I'll just make a comment on this, that, you know, times have changed over the years, and, I think 40 hours is appropriate, it's a week's wage. And I think we should pay the person for the sick leave, but not have any carryover, because that turns into kind of a bookkeeping nightmare. And,
We are not required to pay for the sick leave because we have less than 10 employees.
well,
But
All
you
right,
can do
that's
whatever
my
you want.
opinion, so let's hear some
But you can do
counselor's
whatever you want.
opinion. What do you think, Counselor Platt?
Okay.
Okay, you're, go with flow. Counselor Scarberry,
I think it should be starting out just as basic as we can get it.
basic.
Yeah, just 40 hours for the people who qualify, and then who knows what the state may do the next time we meet. You know, in this state, you never know, they keep working its way up number-wise, 60 hours, 80 hours. So I would think just, you know, a pretty basic resolution is all we need to get started with.
Mhm. And what about the subject of paying the employees for their sick leave?
I mean, if they don't use it,
No, like when you use it, like, are you gonna pay them for their sick time to be off sick? Or are you gonna like say, oh, that's just time lost that week, and so your paycheck's gonna be deducted?
well, at this point, we really don't have, what, one employee? I mean,
Well,
I mean,
this-
see, that's what's confusing, is
Yeah, it is
that we
confusing.
have one employee, but we have more than that working for us.
This applies to the Cardinal employees as well.
Oh, okay.
And what Cardinal has done, and this was the question that I had with Boley, and they answered it for me to deal with Cardinal directly. Cardinal has more than 10 employees, so they are required to pay their employees for their paid sick leave. But if we were doing it, we would have less than 10 and would not be required to pay. Right now, I have not been informed by Cardinal that we would be charged extra for paid leave for our Cardinal staff. So I don't know if they're absorbing that as a business expense or what, but I'm not sure how they're going to handle it. To me, and neither was Boley when I talked to them about it. So I don't know if that's gonna come out later on somehow that we
That's
get
why I was
stuck
mentioning,
with
I
it.
think we should start out
There's
with basic,
nuts and bolts, things that need to be worked out.
with not paying now, and then, which would be the way it is now. We've been doing it, and then just wait and see how it works out. Because my thoughts are that using Cardinal, they probably aren't going to absorb any costs. Most businesses won't do that. With that or minimum wage, businesses are going to have to stay in business, and by doing it, they can't absorb all the costs that government agencies keep throwing their way. So I would assume that some kind of changes would be made to our billing, and we would be paying for it anyway, through Cardinal bills when they come to us.
well, some just comments, and for clarification, our previous administrator was paid for sick leave. That I know, for sure. And, there was carryover, but I think, that was why I'm saying, that's just not common practice nowadays. And as far as our Cardinal employees, it's, I don't know that there would be new administration costs, because when you account for it, it's the same as their wage, only it just goes in a different bucket. It goes in a sick leave bucket, and you keep track of how many days they're sick.
They do
So-
not currently get paid if they're not here. So if they're paid for their sick leave, then they would get paid, whereas we have not been paying them before.
Okay, to your comments, okay, good, all right. Counselor
I
Wilson?
like the idea of keeping it simple, but I also want to make sure that our employee, our city recorder, administrator, make sure they have a contract that we get to take care of our one employee. And I also want to make sure that the rest of our staff, the Cardinal, are taken care of one way or the other, but make sure they're compensated for sick time. But keep it and not accrue it. I don't like that. So
Mhm.
keep it in forward,
Okay.
is what I think.
And so if you don't use your sick leave, you lose it, and that's how the world goes. I
Yeah,
mean,
I think
that's how it goes. You're just thankful that I wasn't sick. Okay. Counselor Mallon?
I agree with Counselor Walls. I think we need to keep it simple. I would not want to see us lose good employees over this issue. So I think we have to be competitive. However, I think we need to really control costs as best we can. Basic, if at all.
Just,
Okay, City Administrator, do you have comments or?
I have a question of Counselor Wells. What it sounded to me like is that you support giving them paid sick leave, the 40 hours.
I wanna make sure they get it either from Cardinal or from us, is what I'm saying. So it doesn't, you know, if Cardinal's gonna pay them and it's still, we're paying, like Mayor Reedy said, it goes into the bucket, it's really not that big a deal. I mean, we lose them for that day and their work, but, you know, we have to take care of our staff. And if they're feeling ill, they don't need to be here working. We need to take care of them.
You know, and it sometimes can go into an ethical issue too. Like someone calls in sick and then you reported seeing them at Valley River Center.
No.
You know, that's an ethics situation. It's not whether or not they're sick or, okay, I'm not gonna say any more about that. So what are you looking for?
I want you guys to decide, are they paid, are they not? If so, how many hours, and is there any carryover? Those are the 3 things I need to know.
I think they should be paid, I think it should be up to 40 hours, and I think there should be no carryover.
Okay, do you wanna, well, this is that,
That's not, well,
Is that
just
what
a
the
second, just a second, I'll
resolution
tell you what it says.
40 hours, okay.
Okay, it doesn't make reference as to whether they would be, it doesn't say. So I would prefer to rewrite the resolution so that it's clear
Okay,
that staff will be paid sick leave, used, for used sick leave.
yes, that's good wording.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unpaid sick, I mean,
And unpaid, at the end of the year expires and goes away and they don't get paid for it.
no, that means no carryover. That's what that means. Okay, so you're gonna bring this back for consideration
I
at
will.
the next, is everyone okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll put this on the April agenda. Thank you all.
We have a question in the audience.
What we do?
Bonnie?
Well,
You don't have to think.
it just makes for on meeting.
I have a question, which is if sick leave expires at the end of the calendar year, if someone gets sick in January, does that mean they have no sick leave to use?
Yes, it does. It means that if you burn your sick leave 2 weeks in January because you're deathly ill, you've burned it. You have to use vacation time or other arrangements, or you are at work, or you're not work unpaid, so.
Excuse me,
Yes.
if I could, the way I understand it, it says at the end of the calendar year, it expires and you go to 0. And you earn it at the rate of every 30 hours work. So if you get sick in January, you don't have any to use.
Yeah.
It's generally provided that unless it's known that you're going to be quitting in 2 months or something, that I've worked, 20 years, 30 years, and the way it's generally been done is if you have a long-term, full-time employee, and they become ill, because this happens, and they're sick sometimes a whole week with that virus thing that, and, if they burn up their sick leave in January, it's like, good going, you have to use your vacation time if you get sick again, but it's kind of funny, they don't get sick the rest of the year.
My point being that if, instead of saying it expires, we have a maximum.
If I may. The city does have an option of choosing whether you want a front-loading or an accrued basis. Front-loading meaning every employee starts out at the top of the year, the first of the year with the 40 hours. The accrued being you earn 1 hour for every 40 hours you work. the state recommends that you earn 1 hour for every 40 hours you work, but it is certainly within the power of the city to say, well, no, we just give them all 40 hours at the beginning of the year. But then we have to be careful how we word this to say that any unused sick leave will not be paid. It can't be cashed in or cashed out if they should leave before the year ends. So it's up to you guys what you want to do.
Mhm.
Well, and you're bringing this back next month, so we'll have more people on here to talk about it too, 2 more members.
Right, but I'd like to have some guidance. I guess I could write more than one version, and we could have a couple of versions.
Maybe we could just talk and figure it out.
It seems like in public settings, public employment, it's usually front-loaded, and then in business, it's an accrued basis, is usually how it goes.
Yeah. We accrue, but also, well, I guess that's vacation, because if you've taken vacation that hasn't accrued and you quit, then you have to pay that back. So, just figure it out.
You want me to figure it out? Just figure it out.
Yeah. You've got the basics, so.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Is everyone satisfied with that? Okay. Okay, G. Resolution 2016, number 5. Application to name or rename a road and setting a fee therefore. We have previously, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've had resolutions that, yeah, we could do this, but we never did set a fee or had an application for it.
Right.
And now
We have an
You-
ordinance, but we never set a fee or have a form.
okay.
Do we have an application, if somebody wanted to do it?
Yes,
Right now? Right,
yes, you were privy to that conversation.
yeah, but it's not on the table yet.
Oh, no, not yet, but it's the reason that we had to do
Yeah, we
paperwork.
kind of.
That we had to have a form
I'm not sure. what
and a
the
fee.
thing is. Okay, so this is resolution series number 16, number 5. It's basically saying that we are setting the filing fee for an application to name or rename a road to $600 to be paid at the time of filing of the application. So my question when I read this was, does it apply to like minor partitions or planned unit developments? Or is that included in the price? I mean, do they, like Montgomery Estates?
That is included in the subdivision price.
Okay, so, all right, so this is just like an individual street, or we have a street named Jasper and you want to change it to Casper, because all the people that live on the road think that's a good idea, then,
Right, that's a process.
okay, then that's what this is for, an individual street.
And it does have a process that we have to follow. It does require a public hearing and notice to a list of entities as long as you're armed.
And therefore.
And that's why the cost, because they have to change all the maps and you have to pay for that.
Wow.
So,
And mail out the notices and all that stuff. All right. What's the pleasure of the council?
Doesn't sound like to me 600 is enough.
Yeah,
You think that?
I don't think that'd be enough either.
I asked planning, our permit tech to go through it and we went through it very carefully. And we think that 600 will be fair, but if it turns out that we're losing money, we'll certainly come back.
Oh, good idea. Or if there's a problem road or something, I don't know. So.
Let's run with the 600, and if we have to change it down the road, we can.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve this resolution series 16, number 5.
Yes.
So moved.
So move.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, moved in second. That the Dune City Council approve resolution series 16, number 5, dated 3/10/16. Any further discussion, councilors? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, passes. Unanimous. Renewal contract for Director of Roads.
I have something on that.
Counselor Wells.
I think we need to table this because of public input, the questions weren't answered, and our road chairman isn't here right now, and he has valuable input on this, I believe. I think we should table this.
Consensus of opinion, table it.
I think Mr. Garis makes an excellent point. We need to approach this stuff from the best economic standpoint. At this point, I guess it's unsure whether we're even gonna have a contract with this gentleman. And if we do, or decide we need a contract, I wanna make sure that we discuss it before we execute the contract.
Absolutely correct. And I think probably the intent of this was to just bring it to the forefront to the counselors about, you know, at our goal setting session, we decided that we wanted to consolidate some of these things. And we have a good idea of how that can be done. Do you want to speak to it now or just table the whole issue until next meeting?
Either way, but if the council's pleasure is for staff to draft the appropriate ordinances that are necessary to make the changes that you were contemplating at the goal-setting session, then I would hope that you would ask staff to do that so that we can start looking at drafts of what it might look like if we do that. Because it's going to be a pretty substantial change to what we already have.
Okay. Is that a lot of work to ask for, like, I suppose, okay, so we have a proposed ordinance maybe at the next meeting.
Right.
And then, so what will take place is that we're gonna look at that and read it and then figure out, is that right? Do we like that? Or we should change it this way. And we're gonna make notes and we're gonna change it. And then it's very likely or probable that we'll just let, the changes be known, and so we can publicize it and then maybe adopt it the next meeting. We don't want to get in a rush about it unless there's an urgency, and I don't really see there is.
No, I don't think there's an urgency at this particular moment in time. Anytime there's an emergency situation, I have the capability, other places to go. The other thing was, I'll give you an example on the contract that was submitted. The proposed contract refers to him, the Director of Roads, reporting directly to the Road Commission, but the desire of the goal of the council was to do away with the Road Commission. So that's the kind of change that has to happen to the contract. And until we know exactly how we're going to do it and what it's going to look like, what is he going to be called?
Right.
Maybe he's not going to be called Director of Roads. Maybe he's going to be Superintendent of Public Works or something, We don't really know what that contract needs to say.
Oh, I think we should try to give her some input.
I think she
Yeah.
should put together some ordinance, a rough ordinance. I think that would be a smart way to go.
Okay?
Okay.
To what extent is this situation, Director of Roads, involved with the new Public Works theme that we were discussing? I just want to make sure we're not duplicating things.
What
No.
Okay.
I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, and this one I will have to run by Counselor Sanders, but as I understand, we would have a Director of Roads who kind of oversees what projects need to happen, whether it be drainage related, street related, park related, overlook related, whatever, or Director of Public Works. And then you would have somebody who actually goes and does the work, that has the equipment and the expertise to go out and fill the potholes. Or if it's a big project, we usually do at least one big project a year, then that would be done differently. It would go out to contract. But little stuff, the brushing, the little repairs that come up all the time, potholes primarily, and brushing and sweeping and that sort of thing, would be done by somebody else. other than the director of roads. That's how I
Okay,
understood.
that
Two
sounds
different things.
good. All right, let's look at that and this will be tabled until the next meeting. Okay, so this next agenda item, request for funding for a video project from the Florence Chamber of Commerce. I looked at that online, the video that they alluded to, and it's directed towards Florence, of course, but I couldn't see here that they had an amount.
They don't.
Okay, so
It's a
what are they
pledge,
wanting?
a pledge of anything from 100 to 1,000, a pledge. And if they don't do the video, then you don't get invoiced. And they only do it if they gather enough pledges to pay for it. That's how I understood they were doing it.
And so is it gonna be similar to that one that we saw, or is it gonna say Dune City on it?
I don't know.
Okay, so
I mean, I would
we
think
need a
if
little
we
more
gave them, if we
information.
gave them money, we could say it's gotta say Dune City.
I think we need a little more information. However, I did recognize that in that video, but only because I live here, that they took some shots from our lakes, Dune City.
If you would like, I can certainly invite Julie to come to a future meeting and answer these questions.
I think that'd be good.
I think that's appropriate.
Okay?
And maybe they could bring an example of, because we now have our own equipment that we can
Uh-oh,
show it.
my TV.
So it just died.
Comment?
Comments, Counselor?
My take on this was it's for mainly pointed at businesses inside the Florence metro, if you wanna call it that area. We do get visitors that visit Florence that come out here. We don't have a commercial business district. To me, this seems like it's just pointed at people that have more impact on the south or north of the bridge. So I'm not sure that I can support spending money or pledging money to promote a different area, even though we are members of the chamber. It's asking for pledges. It doesn't say we're gonna send you a bill one way or another.
Right? That's it.
So a pledge is just like they've got a goal that they're trying to reach. Doesn't say what the goal is.
Right, yes.
So that's kind of hard. What is the goal that they're trying to achieve? 10,000, 50, 100, I don't know. Advertising campaigns can be pretty expensive. So,
Yeah, I know. Well, I will say, for benefit of that, if you haven't watched it, the website's right there. And it showed, our lakes, our sand dunes with the rides. It showed kayaks, it showed horse riding, Old Town shops. So about 50-50, but see, nobody knows. I mean, it all is presumed to be Florence because, I live here, I knew that was a picture of our lake, but, and the sand dunes, which, it's all a community thing, so I don't know. And I did have another question about who is their, producer, or, I just think it'd be better if we just had a presentation so we could ask questions.
Yeah.
How's that sound?
Yeah.
All right, good idea. All right, let's move on. Okay, the adoption of the series, Resolution Series 2016, number 6, the adoption of the West Lane Emergency Operations Plan.
I'm sure everybody read it.
Oh, yeah.
No,
I read this.
500 pages, couldn't fit that in.
We have it.
Right there it is.
Let's see.
Okay, but here's what I can say for that. I was on in the beginning, I was part of the large group that helped pick the person that put this together. The professionalism, I think, has been outstanding in the way she's organized this and put it together. She gathered probably the most information that I could possibly see coming from the community, the greater community at large. I mean, we all have spent, what, 2 years? Almost 2 years on this? Giving input to this.
Yeah, maybe even 3.
Maybe even 3. And so, I would recommend adoption. If that's what they're asking for, I recommend we do it.
Well, we have a resolution.
Mhm. So. Resolutions 2016, number 6, the adoption of the West Lane Emergency Operations Plan. I'll entertain a motion to adopt this resolution as presented.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Dune City adopt resolution series 2016, number 6, West Lane Emergency Operations Plan. Any further discussion, counselors?
I will abstain because I didn't read all 500 pages. I didn't read any of the 500 pages, so I will just abstain.
Okay.
Verse 2, I haven't read it either.
Okay.
I didn't read it, but I'm gonna vote because I've been at a couple of the meetings and I think that she put together a good plan.
I read a good deal of it.
Did you, sir?
Yes.
Thank you.
And I can vote for your say-so.
Okay, all right. Any further discussion on the motion that's on the table? All right, hearing none, I'll call for the question. Does this need to be a roll call vote or no?
No, it's resolution.
Okay, all right, let's, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstain?
Yes.
2? 2. Okay, the motion passes. Don't we, wait, do we have quorum? Look at that. I mean, we do.
I'm trying to remember, I'd have to look it up. It seems to me that abstentions count as a, yeah, toward the vote, so.
Right, so it passes. And with our gratitude to all the volunteers from Dune City that gave input to that. When we sat in meeting after meeting, many nights, to give input. And it was very well noticed and
Thorough.
very thorough. I mean, it was very well noticed. So if you didn't show up, you can't say because you didn't know about it. So, very good. Okay. It is 8 o'clock. I will call for a 5-minute break. Oh, this is a record break.
Ooh, that's fast.
I know. Well, I will call the council meeting back to order. It is 8:04. That was a pretty record break. All right.
They should get that.
Okay, you have in your packets a notice of an assessment letter from the Oregon Department of Forestry. And some folks have said, did you get a letter like this? Did you get a letter like this? And it's like, man, I didn't get a letter like that. But apparently the reason I didn't is because I'm already paying the tax. Right? Yeah. So, this letter in our packet. Jamie, would you like to take the lead on discussing this? It's from the Oregon Department of Forestry.
That's from the Oregon Department of Forestry, and I had invited Mr. Smith to be here tonight to discuss this so that he can give you the Forestry Department side. Apparently it is an assessment that has been placed on properties in Dune City for quite some time. I do not know exactly when it started. If you look at the map, and that's the map that's on the board up there, all the blue areas are the places that have already been paying, and the pink areas are the new parcels that have been listed as additional. And I called Chief Langborg of Siaslaw Valley Fire and Rescue to ask him about it. And he said that Siaslaw Valley protects residences, but the Forestry Department would roll, if you will, on a forest fire. So if a forest fire started and it started burning down your home, both of them would roll. It's a real fine line. Now, the difficult part is I received a phone call from the individual who was mayor at the time that they first tried to assess this fee. Dune City's charter prohibits any kind of special assessment or tax being assessed against the properties in Dune City unless it comes before the city council for approval. So I brought that up to Mr. Smith when I spoke with him, and he said, oh, well, this isn't a tax and it's not a special assessment. For me, that's a really fine line.
What is it then?
Yeah.
He calls it an assessment, but he doesn't call it a tax. And that's why I had hoped that he would be here this evening. Now, if I put on the dais, we received written, a letter of email from an individual who also received the letter, who was sitting on the council at the time, on the city council at the time. So if you'd like me to read that into the record, I will. First of all, thank you for the information you provided me about the proposed forest protection assessment. In the event that I am unable to attend the Thursday evening meeting, I wish to voice my concerns and objections on this blatant money grab by Oregon Department of Forestry. I have resided in Dune City since 1983 at my address, and I won't put that on the record, in Silkhouse Heights subdivision. We have never been assessed a forest protective fee tax in all the time we have resided at this address. We are in the Siuslaw Rural Fire District and have always been. The Clear Lake Road Station is a block away from our property. Any fee assessed by ODF would be and is a duplication of tax. This is a residential neighborhood with water, lakes on 3 sides. We do not interface with any forest land. In the event of a fire within our neighborhood, ODF would not be the primary responder, if they responded at all. The Rural Fire District would be. Again, that is why we fund them with our property tax. Historically, ODF protective fees were implemented to provide funds to prevent and fund fire protection on commercial and industrial timberlands, paid for largely by private forest landowners. At some point, protection fees became necessary from forest interface property owners, most likely when assessments to large tract owners went unpaid or did not cover the fire cost incurred by those owners. I might add speculatively that fires on those large private and or government tracts were started on those tracts by logging operations or thunderstorms, lightning. The bottom line is that I am requesting the Dune City Council pass a resolution supporting a suspension of any extension of the ODF fire protective fee within Dune City, and further enlist support from Siuslaw Rural Fire District, our fire department, in reviewing and revisiting the rationale for continuing this assessment with our city. Respectfully, Dennis Klosterman. I spoke to Mr. Smith at length on this issue, and I understand what he's saying. I mean, in truth, if we were to have a forest fire here, it would sweep through the whole area. And to all the houses, nothing would stop it. If it were to start in the forest, it would come, and the winds are blowing like we know they have a tendency to do. It could very well cause a great deal of damage. In fact, it has occurred 150 years ago. That was the last time it occurred. So I presented to him that I thought that it was not exactly just that the area where we have a fire once every 150 years has to pay every year so that they have enough assessments to pay for putting out fires in places in the state that usually have a fire every year. And he agreed that that was not just, but that they had not figured a way around it. I inquired as to whether anybody within the municipality, the city of Florence, is assessed, and they are. People who live in the city of Florence also, not a lot of them, but some of them do pay this assessment as well. And then the last thing he told me was that they're forming a new working group, it had a special name for it, a committee of some kind, that will come out and, that are planning to come out and revisit this area to see if it truly is forest lands. The difficulty is this: you have a definition of forest lands by the Division of Land Conservation and Development by the state of Oregon for state lands. Forestry. Forestry lands are where timber operations are taking place. That is that definition. Department of Forestry, on the other hand, has this other definition that they work with that says anytime there's brush that could cause fire. So that's what the problem is between the two. And now the question becomes how badly do we want to fight? Does the city want to fight it?
Well,
That's why you guys get paid the big bucks.
fighting this means litigation.
Most likely.
Y'all are on the budget committee, so you know how much money we got in that litigation category. So I don't think we have the resources to fight this. However, I think we can certainly write a letter for, I don't want to say rebuttal because I don't think that's the right word, but we can certainly write a letter saying that we feel that this is unjust, and we urge them when they come down here to figure out a way to make this more equitable. Because apparently, anybody that didn't get a letter is already paying this, and we don't know for how long we've been, probably as long as we've been the property owners, we've been paying this. So, is anybody in favor of suing them to get this changed?
Of what?
Suing them? No, you can't do that.
I would like to,
Okay.
go ahead.
Counselor?
The map here is the best argument, I think, for the citizens of Tillacoos and Chilkoot Heights and along the lakefront here. If Dune City has a residential area, this is it. There's no, the houses are relatively close together, some are, fence line to fence line in this area. It's certainly not forest land, I don't care what their definition of forest land is. And, I mean, I pay it, but, I have a lot of trees around where I live. I don't think it is fair for these folks up here to have to pay that, especially the proximity to the rural fire department. And they're paying into that, which we all pay into that, but that looks like a residential area to me, so.
Counselor Scarberry?
I don't know, I've gone over this letter, and I kept wondering why I didn't get one, well, it's because I've been paying it. I've been naive all these years, I saw fire there, and that's as far as I look, because that's usually not as high as some of the other things on my property tax bill, I just assumed it's part of the so.
That's what I thought.
I was also under the assumption that things had to be voted on in order for Lane County to put on the property tax bills. As far as school levies and fire departments and things like that, don't those all have to be voted on before the county will allow them to put it on the tax rolls?
Special districts, yes.
Well, okay, my take on this letter is that's been voted on, and we forgot to include you. Your neighbors are all included and they've been paying, but for somehow there's been an omission of these little pink properties, and so we're gonna correct that oversight and now charge you. Is that your understanding of the letter?
My understanding is on the last couple sentences of the first paragraph. They did an audit and they found out that a lot of their large forest areas were not being paid now because the timber owners aren't paying the tax. So we need to make up the money, and you go down to the bottom. The fund is used for large, expensive forest fires, particularly in populated rural areas. I don't think we have any of those areas in Western Oregon, do we? Where we've had large fires
Expensive forest fires.
in populated rural areas. So to me, it's a way someone looked at that map and said, hey, they're not paying tax, let's charge them.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like to me.
Yep.
I find it offensive, to tell you the truth.
I find it very offensive. I think it's a perfect example of overreach,
Yeah.
government overreach
Those are good words to use in the letter.
into our pockets. And not only would I support Mr. Klosterman's view, but I'm wondering if there's a way that we can get out of the tax if we're paying it now. I'm not surrounded by
Those
any
are my thoughts.
national force. I'm right down the street from a fire station. I'm paying their fees, their taxes. I don't support this at all.
I would like to see the original document that gave them the power to start taxing any of this around inside Dune city limits. I mean, if it was never voted on, I don't think they could do it by resolution. I would like to see the original documents that gave them the power to do this.
In city limits, in our city.
Inside Dune city limits, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
That's good. Let's do a little research. I mean, we can't really spend
That's good.
a lot of money like to sue or anything, but we can
We can ask
cause them a
questions.
little bit of a thought process.
I'll do some more research.
Once you document.
I know.
We're not happy about this.
As an
I'm not
individual,
happy about it, I got two of
if
them.
I would have gotten one of these, the first thing I would have done is call that phone number and talk to these people. And, ask for documentation that gives them, I mean, because if you call a school district or the fire department or the ambulance district, within a few hours, they can get back to you and fax or email you the empowering document that said that we can tax you this. I would like to see that from these folks.
Well, perhaps we can glean some information about, by reading ORS, the statute ORS 477.001. Never thought to do that
Well, if
until
you read
just now,
that,
otherwise.
if you read that definition, almost anything with dirt without
Yeah.
plants could also be forest land.
Any dirt? Yeah, I don't like it.
Okay, have we grumbled enough about that?
Well, do we need to address Mr. Klosterman's request of supporting a suspension of any extension of the ODF fire protective fee within Dune City?
I think we need more information before we can put a resolution together or any kind of a motion.
Maybe we'll reiterate the request to have them come and address us regarding this.
Okay.
Just ask them again, you know, the council talked about it, not very favorably, and maybe could you come please and,
They're
maybe
really,
we'll leave out the not very favorably part, because maybe he won't come if we say that.
but, I don't mean, but then, do we really need to have somebody come here and try to double talk us? We've got the letter, we know exactly what he's gonna say. And they said it, that's it. Not to rain on the parade, I don't particularly wanna listen for 30 minutes to someone trying to convince me that certain people need to pay money because other people aren't paying it.
Well, we can ask them questions, like, where'd this come from?
We can do that with a phone call, saying, would you send us the documents that gave you the ability to assess this? I just don't wanna sit here and listen to somebody try to justify something like this, because he's already justified it right here.
I get it, I get it.
I'm not a patient person.
Probably just
I think our
make
best
it bad
argument,
anyway.
I think our best argument is this is a highly saturated residential area, and always has been, and it's never been on the road before. It just smells like a money grab to me, and I don't think these folks up here, all in the red, need to be hit with this. That's what I think.
Well, I think we should agree with Councilor Mellon. Take us off too.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I agree with Councilor Scarberry. I know Mr. Smith, and I've talked to him personally. We don't need to hear this double talk. I mean, you get down to semantics, is it a tax, is it a fee, of course it's a tax. And it is, that's what it is. So, that's my opinion.
Okay. He's just
Kinda
probably
like
doing
force-
his job.
It's kinda like forcing people to buy health insurance even if they don't need it or want it. Kinda like that.
I mean, we don't get a tax on much of the Forest Service did that.
Okay. Do we feel better about that now that we've complained about it?
Well, I don't think I feel better about it, but I would like to see those documents. If, maybe Jamie could call over there and see if they would give us some more history behind that, and when that went into effect.
I will do more research on it.
And I'd like to see if ODF and W actually has tanker trucks that are gonna respond to my little lot if it catches fire. I don't think so.
There was a fire on Woodland Lane 2 years ago, the house burnt down.
yeah.
They did not show up,
That's right.
That was a structure fire. They don't roll on structure
but
fires.
there was trees all around it too.
I know.
We were out there
The
hosing.
fire didn't come from the trees to the house, the fire went from the house to the trees.
Jeez. So why do we want them?
Okay, we're gonna move on to public hearings. Okay, this is Dune City Council Ordinance 234 consideration. A proposed ordinance requires 2 readings before it's enacted. City Charter Section 34(3) provides that both readings may be read by title only. A, if no council member present at the meeting requests it to be read in full, or B, if a copy of the ordinance is provided for each member and all requirements for posting and advertisements have been met. Have all postings for advertisements and posting requirements, have they all been met?
Yes.
Okay. Does any councilor desire that the motion to be read in full? Pardon me. Does any councilor desire the ordinance to be read in full? Hearing none, okay. I would entertain a motion to read the ordinance by title only.
So move.
Second.
I will read ordinance 234 by title only. Ordinance 234, an ordinance correcting ordinance 231A, and specifically section 51.20 entitled Definitions by amending the definition of water distribution companies to comply with Oregon statute and administrative rules.
Point of order, Mayor.
Yes?
They didn't vote on the motion.
I was trying to do this perfectly. All right, fine. So we're gonna back up to,
The motion to read it by title only needs a vote.
all right, there's a motion on the floor before I started going on to read this ordinance by title only. Is there any further questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, no.
Thank you.
Now I read it by title only.
Yes, ma'am. We'd like to listen to you.
I know, this is so much fun. All right, ordinance 234, an ordinance correcting. I'm gonna start the giggling. All right, ordinance 234, an ordinance correcting ordinance 231A, and specifically section 51.20 entitled Definitions by amending the definition of water distribution companies to comply with Oregon statute and administrative rules. I will now open this agenda item for public comment. It is 8:25 p.m. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment either for or against this ordinance? Anyone signed up to?
No, ma'am.
8:24. Okay. Counselors, do you have any questions or comments about this? All right. I will now close the public comment period.
I have a
It is-
question.
Okay, sir.
resident of Dune City. And I hear that you're requiring just everybody to put a water meter in if there's any kind of a planning permit or a new building.
May I?
Is that part of this, or is this something different?
This is part of the shared domestic water supply ordinance, and yes, we are required because we can't let you use our water in Willowhink Lake unless you measure it. The state makes us do that.
Okay, I have a permit on my property from the state already.
Then no, we don't,
That doesn't-
unless your permit requires you to measure, but we don't enforce that, no.
Okay.
No, you're good to go
Okay.
if you have the state permit.
Okay,
Just no more state permits are being issued on Willowhink Lake. So if
Oh,
there's
yeah.
new construction, they have no choice but to go through the domestic water supply.
Okay, you want to look at this, okay, thank you.
If you have further questions, you can inquire at City Hall
Okay.
anytime.
No, I just kind of clarified it, because it seemed like something was being, I didn't hear of any public announcement on this, and it sounded like something new was being coming
No.
through, and I never saw any public reading on it.
No,
Or
no,
any
it doesn't
notice.
interfere, yeah.
I thought that would have been kind of.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is just kind of a little housekeeping ordinance
Yes.
to our previous ordinance because we wanted it to comply with Oregon statutes. And the wording in the previous one just wasn't
It was
exact.
different in two different places.
Okay, and so this is like a little cleaning that up. And if we ever get our ordinances, codified and everything, it'll be great. So, thank you, sir, for your comments. I will now close the public hearing, the public comment period at 8:27. We're not changing any language of this. I will entertain a motion to have the second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we, second reading of this ordinance by title only. And we'll make sure we vote. Any comments? Okay, we're gonna vote now. All those in favor to have the second reading by title only, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay. Ordinance 234, an ordinance correcting ordinance 231A and specifically sections 51.20 entitled definitions by amending the definition of water distribution companies to comply with Oregon statute and administrative rules. I will now entertain a motion to accept the wording for ordinance 234 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the wording for ordinance 234 as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye, and this must be a roll call vote. Oh, good. Got that right. Councilor Mallon.
Aye.
Aye.
Councilor.
Aye.
Okay. Hot dog. Ordinance 234 is hereby adopted and will become effective immediately. Do I say amen or something? Okay, because that was almost painful. Probably never get it. That's all right. Unfinished old business. Oregon Dunes Triathlon and Duathlon, discussion item. Things are moving forward. We have some goodie bags. What else can we report?
Would you like me to let you know who the sponsors are so
Yes,
far?
that would be great. Hey, let's just read them off to the camera. Why not?
Three Rivers Casino is our presenting sponsor, and our gold sponsors include Peace Health Hospital and the City of Florence. We have silver sponsors, Darlings Marina and RV Resort, and Old Town Inn and River House. And then we have a whole bunch of community sponsors. including Counselor Meyer, Vind West, West Coast Media, Florence Yamaha, Moe's Chowder, Coast Insurance, Sandland Adventures, Sandmaster Park, C&M Stables, Grocery Outlet, West Coast Auto Body, Old Cedar Tree, On Your Feet with a Splash, and Apex Helicopters. And this afternoon, we got one more, no, I can't remember. Oh, On Your Feet with a Splash this afternoon, and
That would be me.
are you on your feet with a splash? No. And then Planning Commission Chairman Paul Carges.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for helping us with this. You know, without our sponsors, we would be, you know.
And again, for that community sponsorship of $100, you get to put an item into the goodie bag. It can be a coupon, it can be imprint item. You know, maybe you've got a beer cooler, you want to put it in there. You know, you've got some things laying around.
Athletes don't drink beer.
Huh?
Athletes don't drink beer.
Oh, yes, they do. Oh, yes, they do. They carb up before the race.
Okay, all right. That
Anyway,
was
yes,
just
we're
kidding.
looking forward to having lots of sponsors. And then Siuslaw News is another community sponsor. I'm sorry, it wasn't on Linda's list. We're working with Siuslaw News for a tab that will be in the paper that day. And we're real excited that we're working together on that project. That'll be great.
That'll be great. I mean, we might even get up there to be the ranks of the Rhododendron Festival, maybe. You never know. Any further comments on that, councilors? Okay, moving on to hiring of new city administrator recorder.
We have received several applications, and so now you need to decide whether you're going to have an ad hoc committee to go through them, or, and then narrow them down and then have interviews, or how you want to handle it.
Okay.
And the sooner the better.
Okay, so first I will ask for volunteers to assist with this. All right, I'll be calling off the record then. We're not going to publicly volunteer.
Could I suggest something?
Yes.
You can go through and maybe give them,
You can't do it, I'm one of the applicants.
oh, okay, well, that takes care of that.
Maybe you could help me,
I'll
Mr.
help.
Scarborough. Okay. How's that for volunteering and you're grinning? Okay. Thank you, Counselor.
That's what I was saying.
All right, we'll just try to, you know, make it not a hard deal, so.
Or do you want me to just turn everything over to you?
Absolutely.
Okay, I can do that.
Mhm. And any further discussion on that? Okay, committee reports. You know, I don't have a written document to report. I'm trying to just plan the summer and how it's going to go, and I'll be attending the mayor's conference in July in Lincoln City. Things are just kind of moving right along. That's my report. 2 vacant committees. Councilor Wells, do you have a report? Thank you, Councilor, for hanging up the TV and all the things you do around here for us.
Well, it's just what me and my staff do, you know. So we get paid the big bucks for. I think the next thing is when the weather breaks, I've got a new net for the basketball hoop out there. It's actually in pretty good shape, just repaint it white and hang a new net on it. I think it's gonna look pretty good.
All right.
So it's a big coming event.
Oh, big coming event. Well, all right, doesn't take, all right. Councilor Platt.
Nothing.
Oh, because you've been on vacay.
Oh, exactly.
Well, I know, but thank you, sir, anyways, for holding up the fort. Councilor Scarborough?
No, we didn't have a parks meeting, we have nothing to discuss, so no meeting.
Councilor Sanders, absent excused. Councilor Meyer, absent excused.
May I?
That's good.
Road Commission.
Oh, you want to give a report for Council Sanders?
Just very quickly.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
I'm not going to go into details on the meeting minutes, they're in your packets, you had an opportunity to read them. However, I would let you know that as of March 1st, Michael Clifton has resigned from the road commission for health reasons.
Maybe we need to send him a nice thank you letter.
Okay, we have.
Okay.
Yeah, we have.
All right, thank you. Quality emergency services?
Actually, at the last WELOG meeting, I was honored to meet Stephen Leskin, the new Port of Siuslaw manager. EOP, would be good to have done. CERT's been very active with the smoke alarms. They installed already over 130 smoke alarms throughout Green Trees. And they're open to, to install more for anybody who needs them. So call that 888 number. WELOG will be having an emergency preparedness expo sometime this year. We're working with the committee for that. And the next meeting for WELOG will be Monday, March 21st at 10 a.m. right here at City Hall. Our turn to host.
Okay.
Minutes and everything are in your binders. Okay, city administrator report. February permit activity was very active. We had 23 permits, including one new home. That's wonderful. Of course, she did her usual keeping up with who is getting ready to expire and keeping them current with everybody on schedule. The Planning Commission met on February 25th, and new member Ken Pesnell was sworn into his position. They had a lengthy discussion on septic maintenance as a result of a prior request by the Planning Commission Chairman Paul Gargis. Actually, what he did is he gave out homework assignments. And so everybody kind of did their homework and reported. Not everybody, Bonnie did her homework and reported.
Star pupil.
Just to let you know, staff has been given the 3% pay increase that they were promised.
Good.
So it has taken effect. Regarding the triathlon, volunteer letters have gone out and volunteers are lining up, but we need a lot more volunteers. The council and residents of Dune City are asked to volunteer their time for a few short hours on that Saturday, May 7th, to help make the event a success and raise money to help the city continue its services. Additionally, we're seeking sponsors, and I already gave you the spiel on the goodie bag and the $100 community sponsor, so I won't do that again. The Oregon Dunes banner was updated and hung up at Country Roads Recreation on the corner of Highway 101 and South Jetty Road on Saturday. By Sunday morning, it was gone. It had been stolen. So I don't really see a need to replace it this time because I don't know where to put it. I mean, if we put it up there, it'll just get stolen again. The feeling is it was raining and there are a lot of homeless who reside in the woods right next to that area, and we suspect that it became a tent or a blanket or something along those lines to help keep them dry. I will keep looking for a place to hang a banner, but unless you're open and you have some ideas, let me know. The idea is to try and get it, well, ideally it would be the corner of 126 and Highway 101. But we're probably not going to get that, but we would at least like to have it north of Canary Road so that we can get the Dune City residents, all of them, whether they're coming down to Clear Lake or whether they turn onto Canary.
Is it possible to consider where the Rhododendron Festival puts their banners? Because I think the PUD erected particular poles for them.
They did, but when the banner fell the year of our first triathlon, they don't allow that anymore. They don't allow banners across the roadway anymore.
I was gonna also suggest on that overpass, but apparently we can't. You know, the
It
bridge.
can't be on the outside, it could be on the inside. If Honeyman's would allow it. I'm not sure Honeyman would allow it. I mean, I'd be happy to try and find out. Anyway,
Maybe we could
it's-
drape it across our sign.
Our sign already has the big, and yes, we
Big
could
red.
put one down at the bottom. We have done that before in the past, is to put one,
Right.
only do it so it's double-sided, so that it's on both of them, so you can read it from both directions on the highway.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, that sounds good.
We received word that the international paper property, including the dam on Silkloops River, has sold, and the official change of ownership will take place April 1st. Now I've done further investigation. The property is in escrow. It has not actually sold. It's in escrow. It was scheduled to close the first couple of weeks of April, sometime by the middle of April, but that has now been extended to sometime in May, but I can't get anybody to say specifically. Due to confidentiality, they can't let me know who it is or what it was for, other than it is a business out of Seattle. That's the only thing that we've heard so far and gotten confirmed. Which of course may render the whole issue of the portage moot. We don't know what they're going to do
Okay.
at this time.
I personally think they're just gonna leave it the way it is because they would have the exact same expense we would have to remove it. And now that it would be theirs, they would now have the exact same expense that we would have to repair it.
Or take it out. City Hall received the water test. We had the water test here in the building done. Thorough, very thorough water test done. And other than having very low pH levels as a result of not putting in enough bleach into the system, we came back with flying colors. We're good to go.
Okay.
So, we'll get to take the signs down. Senator Roblin and Representative Kathy McEwen's bill to establish a low-interest loan program for individuals to repair failed septic systems or to hook up to municipal sewer systems has passed and has gone to the governor for signature. I believe she signed it now. Permit Tech Renee Green and I met with Greg Wabi of FEMA regarding the hazard mitigation plan for Dune City. A draft of the plan for Dune City is expected soon. Mr. Wabi indicated that because Dune City is so far ahead of most of the other cities he is working with, that when it comes to disaster preparation and the training of office staff, he expects we will have an easier time getting grant approvals for various action items that have been identified, such as building repair and stabilization projects, repairs to roadways and drainage areas to control stormwater runoff, obtaining and building an evacuation route from the West Lake area to the Clear Lake Road area, and acquisition of properties for helicopter drop sites, storage, and emergency housing, among others. And we have received numerous applications for city administrator recorder position. And I urge you to take action.
All right.
And you did, thank you very much. And I do have for the good of the order.
All right, for the good of the order, we'll start with you.
I know I met with most of you ahead of time, but in case I missed it, your ethics filings are due. They have to be done online. They can't be done on paper and mailed in anymore. You should have received an email from the Ethics Commission giving you a number of your temporary password, basically, to set up your account with the Ethics Commission. You go online and you do that and you fill out the form and you're good to go for until next time. And you have to do it again.
Every year.
There is a tutorial available, which I'd be more than happy to show you if you want. It takes about 8 minutes. Lady talks at 100 miles an hour. But it's pretty simple if you just go to the website. And it's just, what was the number? OP, now I can't remember what it was. Oregon Ethics Commission.
OGEC, Oregon Gov/OGEC.
I think I actually got a physical letter in the mail too.
Really?
I think so.
You can do it.
Okay, well, we'll figure it out. Thank you. For the good of the order, Councilor Allen. Got anything for the good of the order?
No.
Okay. Councilor Rose? Nope.
I
Councilor
do
Scott?
this time.
Okay.
I've been thinking a lot about the septic ordinance that we keep prolonging, and I wonder if it's even gonna be done by the time my current seat is up. And I really wish that we had pushed 2 or 3 years back and gotten that on the ballot and let the voters have their say in it. Because I have this feeling that we're not gonna have anything within this calendar year. I mean, we keep prolonging this.
Well, we're gonna have a full complement of counselors next month. And I think we're gonna just put it on the agenda, let it go.
I hope so. 'Cause we keep
Absolutely.
having it on there and it keeps getting moved further and further, so that's the one thing that we really need to get addressed.
Yeah,
Tell your friends and neighbors, it's next month. So I'll be on our agenda.
it's good.
Don't anybody get sick. Okay, thank you, counselor. Welcome back, counselor.
Glad to be back.
Good. Anything for the good of the order?
Let's go home.
Alrighty, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn and then we'll eat cake.
Somebody,
Okay, move that we adjourn. It is 8:46.
Second.
Okay, thank you, sir. Eat cake.
I can see how